good news is we're all on the same page today. You start with defining the results, and the way you define the results is, what were you hired to do? Why did they hire you to do social media? What was the social media program intended to accomplish? And if you tell me it's just to get your feet wet, that's not an answer. The answer is not, I just need to play in this space. Okay, the measure is wet feet and playing in the space. So you really need to look at if your boss walked in and said, your social media program is so successful, I'm going to give you a 20% raise, an extra week off, and a case of champagne. What have you accomplished? Yeah. What have you accomplished, right? But what would you accomplish? I mean, what would it take? What would have changed in the organization to get there? To get to that point, to so delight your boss that happened. And alternatively, if you hadn't done it at all, what would be different? So those are the two things you've got to find out first in terms of defining what it is you're going to measure. Then you got to measure what's the I, what's the investment that you're putting in here. And yeah, Twitter's free, but time is not. And you're taking time away from and taking resources away from. That's why I was asking the question this morning, which is, it's wonderful that you can, generate leads from Twitter, and you can generate leads from Facebook, and you can generate leads from all these things. But at some point, you need to put a cost in there and say, what's the cost per lead generated from all these things? What's the time investment that I've put in there? And there is an investment, and you have to look at that, and you have to look at not just your own time and not just agency compensation, but at some point you're going to have senior staff time involved, and the extent to which they're involved is going to cost even more money. And the question is are you missing out on other opportunities, and how are you calculating and weighing the decision as to whether you're going to do one thing or another? So that's the I piece. It's not necessarily dollars, it's certainly hours. And then you got to figure out, okay, how am I impacting this audience? I have an audience out there, I want them to do something. What's the connection between me and that audience? The ultimate measurement case study that Shell so wonderfully did with Cami about SeaWorld, ultimately they wanted to sell tickets. So ultimately, that's the way they figured out that they could sell tickets was to get roller coaster blog. What's the term? The roller coaster blogging community to talk about SeaWorld, right? That's how communications impacted tickets. It wasn't like they're standing in the ticket booth, but they were influencing the people who were going to come to SeaWorld. So you all play that same role. You just have to define it. Put some definitions around what it is you're trying to reach. The other thing is that when you look carefully at different audiences that you're reaching out to, young people, old people, males, females, different ethnicities, different parts of the country, you learn all kinds of cool stuff. Because what you find is the fact that people that, maybe young people agree with your messages and old people don't, or old people do, and the characteristics are different. That's where you start to learn from what it is that's going on out there. So typically what we'll do is I'm going to get down to survey level research. This is not something you can automate. You can't go on there and look at all your blog postings. I know somebody here says that they can do that, but that you can automate gender analysis. I don't believe it for a minute. Because I think fundamentally you're not going to tell by people's tweets or people's postings what it is that they're saying, but you can in fact survey them, and that's what you're going to end up, at some point, that's going to be a factor in this. So you figure out what are the stakeholders you're really trying to reach? Are you reaching them? And where are they? What's important to them? And frankly, don't ask me if you should start a corporate blog. Ask your customers. I don't look like your customer. And frankly, if you can figure that out, yeah?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
For your